What's going on, guys? Chuck here. Today I thought I'd talk about something that's kind of been brought up a little bit lately. Um, First, it was mentioned on a Born to Be Rad channel, and then just recently I saw over on Planet CHH. And of course, that movie we're talking about is from 1983, Twilight Zone, the movie. Now, the reason why this is brought up um, specifically on Born to Be Rad's channel is the whole things going on lately talking about the Warner Brothers uh, disc rot DVDs. You know, the whole deal with a lot of these from a certain time period now coming disc rot, which really had to do with a particular manufacturing plant in Pennsylvania that was pressing these discs wrong, and a lot of these discs from that era that were from that place have um, gone bad, as it were. And Twilight Zone, the movie, was among those listed as affected. So, you know, uh, Born in a Rad channel brought this up mainly because this is a out of print movie. It's a very hard to find movie, and there's reasons for that. I'm sure. I mean, its reputation precedes it. Its infamous reputation, as it were. Um, and recently, I just saw on Planet CHH, he's happened to find a used copy on DVD. So, like I said, it just kind of popped up. So it seemed like a perfect time for me to revisit this movie. Because, as I've mentioned before in a video sometime past, I am a huge fan of The Twilight Zone, especially the original TV series. I think it is, hands down, without question, the greatest anthology TV series ever. There's no arguing with me on that. There is nothing that has come after that has ever, surpassed it. Nor do I think there ever will. I mean, the writing on that was just so good. Um, and it just, I don't know, it still holds a test of time all these years later. So, of course, I was always very excited for Twilight Zone the movie. Now, the thing with this, unfortunately, it doesn't get the attention it deserves because of the infamous helicopter accident involving John Landis, not, I guess John Landis, Vic Morrow, and the two children, mainly Vic Morrow and the two children who were killed in the filming the segment one of this movie, and of course John Landis being the director of that. So much has been written and shown about that. I won't get into all that. You can find it online if you're not aware of it, but I am hard pressed to find anybody who's not. But because of that, I think this film has been kind of lost in I don't want to say mediocrity, but I think it really hurt what I think is actually a pretty good movie for what it is, and it obviously hurt its reputation, and because of that, it's been more or less lost. And I say not lost. I mean, obviously it's here, but I mean it's not in print anywhere. This is DVD. This is it says here first time on DVD when this came out, and it is long out of print. I think it came out on Blu-ray for a short time, and it's gone. So you can't find these anywhere unless you go, eBay or some other, aftermarket to find this movie. And it's a damn shame because this is a movie that deserves a high quality treatment. I mean, this is screaming, pardon the pun, Scream Factory. This is like a perfect Scream Factory disc, I think, or film, for them to get and do something with. Now, I don't know what you could do, who would be willing to talk about it, or anything like that. I doubt they'll get John Landis to discuss it, that's for damn sure. But, I mean, like I said, what happened with this film has really hurt its what could have been a really good legacy. Because I think this film deserves to be reevaluated, not on its behind the scenes, which is hard to do because I mean it's pretty, it's bad. There's no question about it. I mean, you time you hear a story, you can go an in-depth viewing of. You've watched on Shudder. There's a Cursed Films series. I think there's like 2 seasons of. I believe in that first season they actually have an episode dealing with the Twilight Zone incident, and I mean it's hard. It's hard to take away from something. I get that, but I don't think it's fair to judge the rest of the movie based on that. I mean, that's just maybe it's my opinion. Needless to say, though, this was seem like a good opportunity for me to go back and check this movie out because I haven't seen this in a long time. Plus, it was also a chance for me to check my disc and make sure my DVD still play. Because, as Born to Be Rad said, I mean, if Warner Brothers, certain titles are, DVDs are disappearing or going bad because of the disc rot issue with that particular time frame of movies where they came from, and Twilight Zone is among them. And that could be huge because this is not put out anywhere. This is not available. I know a lot of those can be replaced on Blu-ray, and Warner Brothers has said they would replace some of those discs. But if they don't have them all, can they still do it? I don't know. I'm happy to report that my disc is fine. It plays perfectly. It looks beautiful. So, yay. I've been showing this here, and I'm watching this. I'm getting mesmerized by the reflection because this is beautiful if you see that. This is from the slipcover, which is available when it first came out. And I love this because I think came out right around the time they released the series on DVD, because this matches the reflective imagery of those box sets, which I've, again, mentioned in my previous video. And I just love that because that is just perfect. It gives you that really cool, fantastical element of the Twilight Zone. That's just a great, great look. And, of course, the DVD is the same, but doesn't have the same. And this is what you get without the slipcover, but the slipcover is cool. So let's talk about Twilight Zone, the movie. I remember the first time I saw this had to be on cable, honestly. I remember when it came out, and I remember hearing about it, because I knew about Twilight Zone as a kid. Like I've mentioned before, I used to watch the marathons as a kid. Late night TV, I love the Twilight Zone. And I was excited that they were making a movie about it, but I don't think I saw it till it was on cable. But it played a lot, and you would always talk about it. And then the segments in there stuck with you. Starting with the prologue with Albert Brooks and Dan Aykroyd. Just driving down the street, or driving down a road, deserted road, way out in the middle of nowhere, having playful banter. The Creedence song. Whenever I hear Midnight Special, I will always think of this film. Me and my friend Elizabeth, we used to take long drives when we were teenagers out in the middle of nowhere, country roads, and we just start kidding around and playing that song, and singing that song like we didn't have a tape of it. But we sing that song out loud, and that's what we think of was this movie. And always, do you want to see something really scary? That's what you always think of because of this. That's a great wraparound. And I believe that was directed by John Landis as well. Taking you into the first segment of the film. Well, first of all, before that, they go into the narration, the opening, the classic, you unlock this door narration, which, again, isn't really the narration until like season 3 or 4. Actually 4, because I think that's the first time they actually used the doorway segment. And it's narrated by Burgess Meredith. And Burgess Meredith does a narration for this movie, which is a fantastic choice. I mean, if you can't get Rod Serling, obviously, Burgess Meredith is a great fill-in, if you will. He's so synonymous with Twilight Zone, and his voice and his cadence and delivery is just perfect for these segments. And let me tell you, too, I also want to talk this is a 5.1 surround track on this DVD, and it sounds fantastic. This 5.1 is kicking. Let me tell you, especially over the opening with the Twilight Zone, the narration. You hear Burgess Meredith's voice kick from right to center, to left, and the sound effects. Oh my God, it is so awesome. And that's how you want the opening of Twilight Zone to be. That sound just really drives you in. When the glass breaks, it shatters all the way around you. Oh my God, it's so immersive. The soundtrack, the 5.1 on this is fantastic. This is, talking about an old DVD, but it is a great, great sound. Everything on here is the music, the sound effects, the directional effects, everything. This is a fantastic 5.1 mix. Okay, so now we can talk about the first segment with Vic Morrow. And I'm not going to really break down because you've seen it, you know how they are. Remember, this is the only original story in the film, because the other 3 stories are remakes of classic episodes. And I remember watching this as a kid. This one always stuck out to me because it's very harsh. The bigotry that Vic Morrow shows is very, very harsh, but it's neat and it fits that character, and it really makes the journey that he goes on that much more important. Unfortunately, as a kid, before I even knew about what happened with this film, I always felt there was something off with this episode. the way that it ended, the segment, I should say, because it just seemed too abrupt and didn't seem right. And that's obviously what hurts it is the editing of this, because it just isn't fit. It's too abrupt, like I said. Of course, now we know why it was that way. With the accident and everything, they had to change. Which makes you wonder how that initial segment would have unfolded. I know that Vic Morrow was supposed to, his character was going to have the redemption arc by saving the two children. But obviously, we know what happened. So this really makes it an uneven story in that regard. And I don't know. It's hard to talk about this segment, again, knowing the tragedy that was, came from this. And I'm not going to point fingers and all that, because again, there's plenty of people that do that, and plenty of videos and books and things you can read and watch it to talk about all that. I can always tell you, as an observer, how it affects my view. Like I said, it shows because it's incomplete. There's a lot of talk, should they finish the movie? Showing it, I don't know what to do there in that regard. I mean, it's a shame that the rest of the film is kind of judged on this one episode or this one segment because of what happened. And I think it's hard to, because again, this is an incomplete segment. Obviously, you couldn't get rid of it and do something else. I mean, whatever the case may be, it's hard to know what could be done. I mean, the producers on this were John Landis and Steven Spielberg, and I know the incident really split their partnership and probably their friendship completely apart. And I don't know what kind of, agreements they could have made to get this, but nonetheless, the finished film or finishing we have is unfinished, and it's hard to watch. Excuse me. One day I'll get over this. It's hard to watch knowing what happened, knowing you're watching, Vic Morrow's last performance. That's tough. So it takes you out of there without knowing it, going in not knowing that it's an interesting story that just doesn't feel right. So it's always going to be a clunker in that regard, even without knowing what happened. If you went in blind like I as a kid, you just felt, well, this ending doesn't make, it's kind of abrupt, doesn't make, it hurts the rest of the segment. Because you figure, I think watching a Twilight Zone, you expect the Vic Morrow character to get, maybe learn a lesson. And I think that's what they were going for. In this case, the way it's edited, it's basically he's being punished. Which I guess works too, but it's the way it comes across. It was too abrupt, too quick. But it is what it is, unfortunately. And that, brings down the rest of the film in everybody else's eyes. And I think that's hard. The second segment is Kick the Can, directed by Steven Spielberg, with Scatman Crothers as, a kindly and gentle man coming to a nursing home, excuse me, to reawaken the youth of the old. And then this has got a lot of grief because it's people call it too sweet, too saccharine. I don't know about that. I mean, it's got Steven Spielberg written all over it, obviously. And it is a remake of an episode of the show. Now, I don't know how well reviewed that episode is. It's cute, it's funny, I enjoy it. The older you get, I think it resonates a little more. At least it does with me. And I've always liked the segment. Perfect, full story. I love this entire film. There's nothing in here, I may be critical, but everything, I just love it, period. But, excuse me. This I thought was sweet. I love the kid actors. I think they did a good job emulating the adult actors. I think, Scatman Crothers is always fun. You feel sorry for the old man who's, he wants to relive his youth, or he's missing his youth. He's kind of just like, we're old. That's it. We're used to it. But you can tell he wants more, and he just doesn't know how to reach it. And it's, and everybody can. They're pining for the younger days, but they realize that you can't go back necessarily, or but you can always kind of, how do they put it? Uh, Always, you can be your own age, but have fresh, young minds to keep you going every day. And that's, that's a nice sentiment. Call it Saturn, whatever. I don't care. I like it. Then we get to segment 3, directed by Joe Dante. And this is based off probably the most popular, or one of the most famous episodes, It's a Good Life, which originally starred Billy Mummy, who makes a cameo in this episode. Which this episode, you can get a lot of callback references to Twilight Zone. You get, like, I think Willoughby, Beaumont, Cliffordsville, maybe. Billy Mummy as a cameo. I mean, there's a lot of, if you listen to, you'll find different references to Twilight Zone episodes, or, people involved with Twilight Zone. And of course, this remake of, infamous It's a Good Life, like I said, where Andy is just an all-powerful kid. And, in this case, he runs into a teacher played by Kathleen Quinlan, who this is a slightly different story than what the Twilight Zone episode was. Excuse me, I can't get rid of this. Whereas in that story, it's basically, as Rod Serling states, we're just going to introduce you to, the one of our monsters in Twilight Zone, and no fable, no story, just want to introduce you to this character, and it's basically a day in the life of Andy. Where in this one, you're kind of, Andy takes the Kathleen Quinlan, he kind of tricks her, and I don't know, tricks her. I don't know what he does. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But she ends up, hitting him with her car. She takes pity on him. She takes him home to meet his family, who are strange folk, which features Kevin McCarthy from Vegas Body Snatchers, and a pre-Bart Simpson Nancy Cartwright, which is pretty cool as Ethel. And this is a wild episode. I mean, the production design is on this is crazy. The house, it is very cartoon world like. You have creature effects, I think, by Rob Bottin, and Joe Dante just went crazy with this. I mean, the cartoon aesthetic is all over the place, and with practical effects, and it's interesting. So I think maybe a little off kilter, in a sense. It could be a little too much. It's like kind of strike that balance of scary and wacky. I don't know. In the ending, and this one is slightly different from the series, because again, the series is it's just basically, this kid's a menace. We can't do anything about him. That's all there is to it. So much even in the Forrest Whitaker Twilight Zone series that aired on UPN, they actually had a sequel to this. I think it's called It's Still a Good Life, and it starred Billy Mummy and his daughter, was it Liliana Mummy? And Cloris Leachman also all came back from the original episode. But this one, they try to redeem Andy in a sense, and I don't know if it works. I don't know. I really don't know. So it's iffy. But it's a fun cartoon world to look at for sure. It's bonkers. With some great effects that, I remember this day, it was freaked me out as a kid, especially that crazy rabbit out of the hat. I love other things, that Tasmanian devil or whatever the hell that was. A lot of those things are just, they're just, like I said, they just blew my mind as a kid. And you're still kind of, we're looking now, again, all the practical effects. That's a great thing. Your last segment, read by George Miller, is the remake of Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. This is probably one of the episodes that's most known from this film, with John Lithgow in the William Shatner role. The something on the wing of the plane. And I tell you, I mean, this one always gets me because I have a fear of flying. I've never flown a plane. I'm terrified to fly a plane. You're not gonna get me on a plane. And this is why, because there are things on the wings of other planes that are trying, those gremlins. I'm not getting on those. But I really love how this is filmed, with intense close-ups. The uneasiness of it. George Miller does a great job with this, just making everything just feel, especially if you already have a fear of flying. Everything is tense. And again, this is where the 5.1 kicks in with the sound effects. It really, oh man, it's just it puts you on edge. I mean, it really does. It's very effective at just, and then the fear, and then and John Lithgow, I mean, it's just playing out fear. He's playing it so well, and it really gets you going, and it's so good. It's a great build up, and I think it's a good time to talk about the Jerry Goldsmith score, because in this one it really amps up. He's got these really harsh violins, or strings at least, that are playing. Dun, 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 dun. And it really amps up the tension, and it just makes you. It's like just grating at your nerves, especially when before the confrontation where Lithgow opens up the window to see the gremlin staring at him. But all that, those strings are just violently playing. They're just like beating so hard. It just really, again, it's like sending chills in your back. It's a fantastic score. I mean, the whole score is good. It's a great Jerry Goldsmith. It's got a very ethereal quality to it. It feels very Twilight Zone at times, otherworldly. It's really, you go back to the Kick the Can, it's got a nice, very softer feel. The sentiment is there, and it's like, I don't know, it's a very welcoming, score for that, but that's like the complete opposite when you get to Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, because those violins are harsh, they're great, or again, I can't say the strings, just say that they're violins. Those strings are harsh, they're grating, they put you on edge. It's a great effect. I mean, it's a fantastic score by Jerry Goldsmith, as usual. And the gremlin on this is also much better than the TV series. The guy in the fluffy suit. This is a much better effect. And then, of course, you bookend with Dan Aykroyd being the ambulance driver, driving John Lithgow away with the "Do you want to see something really scary?" and playing Creedence. And then you end with, I think the ending is great because you end with the classic Rod Serling narration, like the original. There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. Up into this guy, and it just, again, booming with the 5.1. Why keep saying 5.1? The 5.1. It's so immersive. It's great. This is fun. Overall, yeah, the movie is just fun. I think it still holds up very well. I remember it was a constant watch as a child for me when it would come on. I love this movie. And again, it is just good fun. I know people have a hard time with it, again, because of what happened to Vic Morrow and the two children. And understandably so. It's kind of hard to promote a film like that, and it's not so much about the accident. I think it's about the negligence on John Landis's part, and that kind of thing. That's more what it's about. I mean, because Brandon Lee died filming The Crow. They promote the hell out of that still. They're still releasing it, but and that was an accident on set. But this is something a little different. Plus, it involved children, and it was brutal. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why it's not talked about or not given its due, which is a shame. This is a movie that should not be lost. I mean, it's a part of history. It is a good movie. It's a fun movie. I think it's worthy of being Twilight Zone. And I really hope that, I don't know, it could be more. It could be, could be legal reasons for all I know. I'm not privy to those kind of things, but there's got to be. I really hope somewhere, sometime, someone can, even if it's Warner Brothers, decides to, put out a good release or give a license to someone that will. I mean, I don't know what kind of supplemental material you can get. That's why I said this is, ripe just for Scream Factory to get in, do a good Blu-ray. Maybe, clean it up or remaster something. This has Scream Factory written all over it. But in the meantime, if you can find this DVD in the wild, I recommend getting it because this is a very good DVD. It looks fantastic. I mean, I'm watching it on a 4K player, so it's upscaling a bit, but it looked great. I watched it on the projector. It blew up. It looked I would have thought it was a Blu-ray, quite frankly. It looks so good. And again, I can't stress enough, the 5.1 on here is amazing. It is just, it it kicks all the ass. The 5.1 is great. And you wouldn't think that, but it's really good. So yeah, I think it's time, we reevaluate and kind of give Twilight Zone its due. Something I also want to point out, back to, one of its reasons, the for its infamy, and it's something I noticed on the credit, because I was watching the credit, because I couldn't remember if they did anything like some kind of dedication to Vic Morrow. I'm sure their family probably wouldn't want them to do that. I don't know, but I did notice it mentioned like the second unit director on segment 1 was listed as Alan Smithy. I thought that was pretty telling. Uh, now I don't, know if that really has anything pertaining with that, because John Landis was on set directing that particular scene, so it wasn't really a second unit director. But maybe someone didn't want themselves involved with that or whatever. But we all know what Alan Smithy means, and it's weird to see him on a second unit director credit as opposed to being a director credit, for Alan Smithy. But I thought that was pretty telling that was on there. Nonetheless, I digress. But I really think that you should, take a chance and I don't know if it's streaming anywhere or not. Honestly, it might be. If it is, check it out, definitely. But if you can find this DVD in the wild, get it. Don't hesitate, because it's a fantastic DVD. It's a good movie. It deserves to have more eyes on it, to remember it, and hopefully, like I said, it can get another release and get a remaster, because this can't be lost, especially if we're losing a lot of these DVDs from that that disc rot incident. Thankfully, again, mine is fine. It's beautiful, plays good, and I hope the rest of you, those of you who have it, yours is good too. But if you can find one, get it. You won't regret it. So that is it for this one. If you enjoyed this, click thumbs up, share, subscribe. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if you've checked out Twilight Zone the movie. If you have this DVD, I'm curious. Who actually has it out there? Or just say hi. I'll always take hi. So until next time, this is Chuck saying I will see you on the other side of the Twilight Zone.